Do you think daily demand on the DXY is going to hold this week? Let's talk about it in this week's Forex Forecast. All right, starting things off with the COT report for the US dollar. The past week, the banks got rid of 2.3 thousand longs, and they also got rid of 4.1 thousand shorts. Now, looking at the daily chart here, we've been talking about this daily demand zone at 101.78 for a while now. We have not quite contacted it yet, but I am expecting price to maybe pull back down to this daily demand and then react to the upside. So if you want to try to predict, where the US dollar is headed in the medium to long term, I would definitely be focusing around this daily demand to see if we either break it or if we hold and continue to push up and break the higher high, giving us a daily uptrend. So that is what I am looking for here on the DXY. If we go to a 4-hour chart, some of the lower time frames, you can see we have a very clean 4-hour downtrend with supply above. So before we go down to that daily demand zone that I was pointing out, it's possible we do push up to this 4-hour supply zone first and then react to the downside, just to kind of go with this overall trend to the downside. So once we do contact that daily area of demand on the dollar, I will be bullish the dollar. But if you continue to watch this forecast, you'll see on the euro we actually contacted the daily area of supply, which is obviously just the inverse. So it'll be pretty interesting to see what takes place around that daily area of demand. Forecast for the euro US dollar. The past week, the banks got rid of 9.9 thousand longs, and they also got rid of 3.3 thousand short positions. Looking at this daily chart, obviously just the inverse of the DXY. And if you see here, we have this daily supply at 101.09, and we are currently reacting off of this supply. So I'm personally going to try to look for a short trade off of this supply zone, as long as this supply zone is holding. If we end up breaking this daily supply zone, then I will hold off on my shorts. So as far as this daily chart is concerned, as long as this daily supply is in play, I will be trying to capitalize on a down move off of that supply zone. So let's take a look at the lower time frames and take a look at what we could possibly be looking at. So I would personally be on the on the 1-hour chart here. You could draw some sort of trend line up like this. I think that that's fine. And if you look at this 1-hour chart here, you can see we had a pretty consistent and very clean trend up here, and then all of a sudden, boom, we spiked right up into that supply zone. I had a purple supply zone here with an order there, and I could not quite get filled there. So unfortunately, that just happened, and I couldn't get filled, but it is all good. So for looking at the 1-hour chart now, we pretty much need to see a change in direction like this before we just get in short. Now, I am also noticing we have some sort of demand here as well. It's a little bit of a hidden demand zone. So an aggressive entry would be if we do remove this demand on the 1-hour chart, leaving us with 1-hour supply. This would be your potential 1-hour confirmation trade coming off of that overall daily supply that I was just pointing out. So as far as the euro goes, we need to see this 1-hour supply demand zone be removed for confirmation to get in short. And then for longs, I do not recommend getting in long right now until we can break this daily supply. Now, if you absolutely think the daily supply is going to break for whatever reason, that's fine. If you look at a 4-hour chart here, if you absolutely need to get in long, I would at least wait for a pullback down to this demand at the 4-hour chart at 1.08 to even consider getting in long, and confirmation on a day trading time frame would definitely be necessary. But as far as the euro goes, guys, daily supply is in control, so I am expecting price to fall. And if it doesn't, it's all good. Nobody is 100% correct, and if it doesn't, and if it ends up breaking, then we will potentially switch to a long bias on the euro US dollar. All right, on to the forecast for gold. The past week, the banks got rid of 10,000 longs, and they also added 5.2 thousand shorts. Now, looking at the daily chart of gold, something significant has taken place. If you notice on my chart, I have this green demand zone right here. I have had this zone on my chart since pretty much all the way back here. You can go back and actually watch a lot of my forecasts from back in April, and you can check that out yourself. So I've been telling people I think gold is a decent buy around 1930 at this daily demand. And if you see, we already have reacted to the upside. So now we have supply here as well. So we could kind of just ping pong in between these two zones, and eventually we're going to break out to the upside or to the downside. Now, with that being said, gold isn't the best to be trading right now based on us kind of being stuck in between supply and demand. I would definitely favor longs rather than shorts right now based on the strength of this demand versus the strength of this supply. But there's actually a better potential setup forming in silver, and that's something we're going to be talking about in the members live stream on Sunday. So check it out if you guys are not a Patreon or YouTube member yet. But I would continue to actually favor longs here on gold based on that demand. If you look, if we actually end up breaking the daily demand, that's okay, because we have this weekly demand down below where we can get a better dip buying opportunity at this weekly chart. So for the time being, we kind of already got the 1 hour trade right here. If you were bullish gold coming off the daily demand, this was your 1 hour trade right here. And if we actually end up pushing down to this 1 hour demand, it's a very large zone at 1933, but we could look for longs on day trading timeframes coming off of that 1 hour area of demand as we come off of the daily area of supply. So definitely bullish on gold. We just need to continue to see moves up and buy pullbacks if we can continue to get the pull up. And if we, like I said, if we continue to break down and fall and continue to have the 4 hour downtrend, then I think we're headed possibly down to about 1870 on gold. All right, onto the forecast for the USDJPY. The past week, the banks added 2,000 longs and they also added 2.9 thousand shorts. We're going to do a top-down approach here on the USD yen. As you can see, we were in the middle of supply and demand, but now we're kind of breaking out to the upside. We are definitely above the halfway point now. So to me, there's tons of profit margin up to 146 at that weekly area of supply. If you look at a daily chart here, we have very, very strong uptrend on the daily chart here. We currently reacted off of this supply zone. But if you look, very large green candle to the upside. To me, it's looking like we are going to potentially break through this daily supply. So since this supply is tested, it's looking like it's going to break. I'm going to pretty much ignore that it's here and continue to look for longs on the lower time frames on the USDJPY. Now, just at this daily chart here, we have fresh daily demand at 136.686 down here. If we do happen to get a deep pullback down to this daily demand, it will definitely be an area I'm interested in looking for swing trading positions in. And if you go to some of the lower time frames, I know a lot of people aren't as patient as me, and I definitely realize that. If you look at a 4 hour chart, very, very strong trends. I kind of want to see that removed as well. But if we have new 4 hour demand zones down here, we could potentially be looking for longs off of any one of these demand zones. And if you look at a 1 hour chart, really not a lot going on. We do have a 1 hour demand at 140.717. We could see a move off the zone, but pretty low quality. So for USDN guys, we need to continue to look for longs, but we need to wait for newer quality 1 hour demand zones to be formed, or even 4 hour demand zones. So with that being said, guys, if price is pulling back to a zone you like, since the trends are up in the daily chart with a lot of profit margin on the weekly, I think looking for longs is still the best thing to do. I wouldn't even consider shorting unless we get a 4 hour downtrend, but that's going to take a while to take place. So as long as we have 4 hour, 1 hour, and daily uptrends, we need to continue to look for longs in the USDJPY. GBPUSD forecast. The past week, the banks added 11,000 longs and they also added 17,000 short positions. Top-down approach here, weekly chart, guys. We are currently breaking above this downward trend line here with plenty of profit margin to weekly supply at 1.29. I shouldn't say plenty, but it definitely is enough, in my opinion, on lower time frames. So, in my opinion, looking for longs still on the pound is definitely okay. We need to definitely be trading with caution. Now, if you look at a daily chart here, very strong daily uptrend with fresh daily demand down below at 1.25. We could look for longs in this daily demand if we do get that deeper pullback. If we go to some of the lower time frames, like a 1 hour, 4 hour chart, you can see that we do have a 1 hour zone right here. Price is very, very extended though, but this 1 hour demand at 1.279, it could be an area where you look for day trading longs coming off of that 1 hour demand zone. And if you do get pullbacks, deeper down to 1.266, this could be a 1 hour demand zone that holds and that we push up from, or even this one down below. There was also a trade that I pointed out to the Diamond members right here on this 4 hour chart. This was a zone that we nailed on the Diamond membership. So if you want to get access to the daily market breakdowns, guys, we've absolutely been killing it. As you can see on the screen right now, it is on my Instagram. A lot of the trades from the daily market breakdowns. And we also have lifetime access for people who do not want to pay a monthly subscription. Honestly, I think it's one of the best memberships on YouTube based on the amount of setups that I point out and the success rate and the large risk reward from them. If you look right here, we also caught one down here as well, and also been killing it on the GBPJPY. So check it out. Diamond membership, guys. Lifetime access is available. You can join on YouTube or on Patreon. Links in the description down below. And to summarize on the pound, guys, as long as we have these trends in play, we can definitely continue to buy pullbacks down to demand on the lower time frames. Forecast for the USDCAD. The past week, the banks got rid of 7.8 thousand longs, and they also got rid of 6.1 thousand shorts. Looking at a weekly chart here, I've been waiting for this weekly demand zone to be hit since, I swear, all the way back here last year, December of 2022. Been waiting for this demand zone to be hit. We have finally basically have come in contact with this weekly demand zone. So I am definitely bullish the USD CAD right now. If you look at a daily chart, yes, we have a very consistent daily downtrend right now. If you look, we have some daily supply forming right here, not just yet, but we are more importantly inside of a daily demand zone. Now, we didn't quite hit the weekly demand, but I'm going to call it tested, or sorry, I'm going to call it hit. So I am bullish. I think we are probably going to react off of this daily demand at least to daily supply 1.33. If not, there's fresh daily demand down here. We could react off that zone as well. But I'll be straight up with you guys. I am looking for swing trading positions to the long side coming off of this daily and weekly area demand. And if you look, what I'll be looking for, the more aggressive approach. First, I'll show you guys the conservative approach. The conservative approach to looking for a confirmation long would be something like this, where we get a break of this 4-hour supply at 1.33, and we pull back to the 4-hour demand zone that broke the supply, and we look to buy it. That would be your more conservative entry to really prove that price is pushing up. The more aggressive entry would be something like this, where we can remove this supply zone here, potentially look for a pullback to the long side there. So, or maybe even if you look here, we do have some sort of demand forming right here, but it's just not, the best move away. It's a decent move away, but the candle here, it closed right here. It didn't really close above, so I'm going to actually continue to look for confirmation here by removing supply zones on the 1-hour chart. So that is the USD CAD demand. Higher time frame demand is in control, guys. So we need to look for longs, in my opinion, until we can be proven otherwise, guys. So yes, this zone can end up breaking. These zones could all end up breaking, but with demand in play, guys, very, very strong demand. We got to, in my opinion, the buy should be to the long side, and that's what I'm going to be doing, is looking for longs. All right, looking at the Aussie US dollar. The past week, the banks got rid of 15,000 longs, and they got rid of 10,000 shorts. Now, we did recently react off of this weekly demand zone that I've had on my charts since basically last year. So that is why we are seeing the Aussie rally up. If you look at a daily chart here, we did get 2 confirmations on the daily chart. But if you look, we're just pretty much going up straight, and we haven't really got a pullback yet. So I am kind of expecting, the pullback. Now, whether we do or not, that's definitely difficult to tell. We've really seen no evidence of it yet, but if we do pull back to demand zones here, definitely could be areas where we look for trades, for sure. So with that being said, what do we do now, though? Because obviously, price just isn't inside of that demand zone, right? So that's fine. If you look, we have very, very strong 4-hour and 1-hour trends to the upside, so we could continue to look for longs. Now, we did get some of these zones tested already. That 1-hour zone was tested for sure, but it was barely tested, so it could be an area where we still look for 5-minute confirmation. Also, this zone down here, we could look for confirmation in as well on like day trading timeframes, 1-minute or a 5-minute chart. So as long as these trends are in play, those 2 zones could be used for longs, guys. And why am I saying on day trading timeframes? Well, only because we don't have a trend on the daily chart. So in order to get in long on a swing trading time frame, we need to kind of wait for price to pull back to daily demand before we get in long. So as long as like I said, as long as the trends are in play, guys, we could continue to look for longs, and I pointed out the 2 1-hour demand zones that I would personally be looking for. But like I said, guys, I am expecting price to actually pull back down to daily demand. I'm just not going to predict that just yet, but that's the longer term move that I do expect to take place. USDCHF forecast, the Swiss franc. The past week, the banks added 536 longs, and they also got rid of about 3,000 shorts. So if you look at a daily chart here, we kind of ping pong between supply and demand for a bit, but we ended up breaking this demand zone, which left us with supply at 0.90. So if you are bearish the USD Swiss, this would be the daily supply zone where you look for a potential short trade off of that daily supply. In the meantime, what could we be doing to potentially trade? Well, if you look at my top right screen and my bottom right screen, if you look, we have a 4-hour downtrend and a 1-hour downtrend. So we could be shorting up to supply, which actually is in that daily supply zone. So these two, well, sorry, we already had a reaction off of this supply zone. One of these supply zones I put it out for the diamond members as well in the daily market breakdown video, is we could get a reaction off of this supply zone as well. So this would really be the 4-hour supply zone I look to potentially get in short. And for longs, guys, I don't think getting in long on USD Swiss is really a good idea until, if you look at a 1-hour chart here, if we can get something like this on a 1-hour chart where maybe we break below, create a pretty good higher high and a higher low or whatever, and really create that 1-hour uptrend that's consistent looking and decent, then we could look for longs and day trading timeframes. But it even is a little risky. So say if we get something like this right here with the peak and the valley, and it's very obvious with an uptrend, the overall downtrend is still in play, so it's a little bit risky. So we actually would prefer to see the downward trend line and the supply move first before we get in long. And like I said, for shorts, even this 1-hour supply is definitely a very nice move away at 0.90, so it could be an area where we look for day trading shorts in, coming off of those supply zones here on the USD Swiss franc. All right, last but not least, we are looking at crude oil here, guys. In the past week, the banks added 14,000 longs, and they also added 31,000 shorts. So just wanted to point out something here. If you look, guys, just looking at the weekly chart here at oil, weekly demand is in control. We have higher time frame macro demand in control, so we want to continue to look for longs on oil. We have struggled to really break above $80 a barrel. It's definitely been difficult to break above that, but at the end of the day, we do have higher time frame demand zones in play. So what that means is we want to look for longs. Now I know, I do have my private video lessons, and we do have the membership as well. So a lot of people, they can't afford to join that, and that's completely fine. But if there's one thing that I can tell you guys here on just on YouTube, is that in order to stack the odds in your favor with your trading, whether you're trading supply and demand or not, you always want to be trading with the higher time frames. And what we're seeing here in oil is the higher time frames in play. Like I said, we are struggling to really break above, but even if we are, we still need to continue to look for longs because of the higher time frame zones in play. So what I was trying to say is, even if you don't want to join the membership or you can't afford to or whatever, it's fine, but just listen to what I'm saying and you should succeed, in my opinion. Obviously, it's not as easy as just doing this, but if you keep in mind the higher time frames and what the higher time frames are telling you to do, and you trade on the lower time frames, you should do very, very well, in my opinion. So with that being said, on oil, if you look, we have a 1-hour uptrend like this. So what that means is, with a 1-hour uptrend, we could look for 5-minute or 1-minute longs to the upside as long as this trend is continued. Now, yes, we are a little bit extended, so we could actually expect a pullback, a deeper pullback. But as long as a 1-hour trend is in play, I think we are good to go for longs. Now, we do have 4-hour demand down below at 68.63. It could be an area where you look for a 15-minute confirmation coming off of that 4-hour area of demand. That's pretty much all I see in oil here, guys. So to kind of summarize again, we do have the higher time frame zones in play. I know oil has definitely been difficult to trade right now, the last couple months, I guess. But with the higher time frame zones in play, guys, we need to continue to look for longs. I cannot stress that enough. And who knows? It could be completely wrong, but at that point we will switch because we break the higher time frame zones. But that has not happened yet. So until it does, we need to continue to look for longs down to demand. I hope you guys found this weekly Forex forecast helpful. If it did, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as always, check out the YouTube and Patreon membership if you want to get my daily chart analysis and much, much more.